voice projection and singing with microphone. Let's start with the voice projection. What makes a voice project? First of all, it's the right placement and the overtones. And a voice, if you think about it, the vocal folds and vocal cords are very small, as you know by now. And if you think that those little bands are projecting a voice in huge spaces. A classical singer sings without a microphone. If you look at the Metropolitan stage in New York, you can see that the orchestra pit is really far away from the stage itself. And when the singers stand on that stage and the orchestra pit is already so far and they have the rest of the big room to sing in, you really wonder how they do this. And the way they do this is they place their voice, but not intentionally, up here. And because of the vibrations they go against the bones, and because of the overtones, it carries the voice. Now, usually an opera singer is singing without a microphone, but there are singers. I heard even a couple of famous singers here that they have rather smaller voices and that even their voices in their Metropolitan Opera does not carry, and so they need a microphone. I'm not going to say who it is, and you can't see it from the audience, but usually a big voice does not mean that it can be projected in a room. It doesn't matter what size the voice is. Even small voices might carry more than big voices if they're placed correctly and if they have the overtones. Now, when you sing and you practice, and I'm imagining you're not an opera singer, but if you practice in your room, and this is how you actually find out about voice projection. And I don't know if you remember when you started to sing, you started to create sounds, and first you got those sounds out, and then all of a sudden you heard them in the room where you're singing in. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to focus on where you are right now at. It doesn't matter if you're in a big room or just a smaller room, but when you sing, listen to your voice on the outside and you hear it on the walls. Usually you hear it reflecting on the walls. And then I want you to experiment the next time you get a chance to get on a big stage or in a big room. It doesn't matter if it's in a theater or not, but just a big room. Experiment a little bit if your voice is heard. Now, when you project your voice in the classical way, it is mandatory to have that posture, which you know by now. It is mandatory to have a lower larynx because then you have more space. You have more space also up here with the soft palate in order to project the voice, because then the voice goes against the bones. We always say we have to sing against the bones so that the overtones can carry the voice. But this is not placing the voice on purpose in the mask. This is kind of a side effect from the correct technique and also from the correct support. But your way of finding out and experimenting with several room sizes is that you start in a smaller room, and even a very small dry room can be hard to sing in because you cannot hear yourself. It does not reflect from the walls. It's very dry. And then you have rooms where you hear yourself better, but experiment a little bit. As a matter of fact, walk around in your house or in your apartment, haha to the neighbors if you have them, and experiment a little bit with sounds. Also in the bathroom, you should hear yourself sing really well in the bathroom because of the tiles and because of the reflections there. But in general, it doesn't matter if you sing in a small or in a big room. We have some vocalists in the daily vocalist section where you can experiment a little bit, and especially experiment with the space around you, because this is really fascinating. As a matter of fact, now when you're standing, are you aware of the space that is above your head? Are you also aware of the space that is behind you and of the space that is on each side? It's a lot of space actually. It's not, except if you live in a trailer, then you have the ceiling right up here. But usually there is a lot of space around us. And to be aware of that space, especially when we sing without a microphone, it's going to be very interesting to hear your voice all of a sudden differently when you're aware of this space. Now, when you sing with a microphone, and this is the next subject, is singing with a microphone. When you sing with a microphone, you usually have a sound engineer, meaning that you don't even have to focus on and concentrate on how you sing and you project your sound. That is, if you're a singer that has a sound engineer. If you're doing this yourself, then it's really important that you check out the sound first, that you hear yourself sing as well as you hear the playback or the band that you're singing with. And singing with the microphone is actually, it's fun, but it does not mean that you don't support your voice, because very often when, especially with the beginners, when a beginner starts to take voice lessons, they just think they can not support their voice because they say, I have a microphone anyway. And if you would, even famous artists out there, if you would take the microphone and the sound away from them, you would be incredibly surprised that the sound just stays right here, that it does not carry. And you are trained in this course classically because you should experiment with projecting your voice. It's so much fun once you hear yourself, you go, wow, where does that come from? Because then when you sing with the microphone, you can support and you are supporting your voice correctly. Now, singing with the microphone means supporting. Yes, it also means staying into that posture. And in case you're sitting, remember to keep a straight spine and to feel the sit bones on each side. You literally feel that. You can roll around on your chair to feel the balance of those sit bones. Also, remember not to sit too far in the back of the chair so that your diaphragm can lower. And when you sing with microphone, and there's a really, really good exercise to preparing you to sing with microphone, usually what I see, those are the most common mistakes, is that the microphone is too close. I have to tell you a really funny story about this one. My very first opera that I sang, the very, very first one, was a very short opera. It was from Kazakhstan, that country, and I had to sing in Kazakhstan. I had to sing in this language. I didn't understand much at that time. I was just starting my studies, but I was asked to sing this. And I remember that because I did not know the language or the pronunciation, it was not a very long piece, but it was interesting because they said they're going to place a microphone in front of me. And I never sang with a microphone before. Remember, I just started with my studies at the Indiana University and I didn't know much about it. And what happened is I had to hold the microphone and I went like this, way too close. And I remember seeing the people in the first 3 rows. When I started to sing, they went, whoa, no. And they had to change seats. They really got up because he really got into their ear. I had no experience. I didn't know. The sound engineer, however, didn't realize that I didn't know about microphones, and he turned down the sound. The rest of the piece I could sing, but it really made me insecure. And from that moment on, I was almost disturbed having a microphone in front of me. But when I sing crossover, it's important that I have a microphone, because if I don't have a microphone, I sing it too classical, because then the voice needs to project. So this is the most common mistake I see, is that the mic is just too close. Keep it about 1 hand width apart, about that far. And also, when you sing a concert, please do that. It's so important that you train with the same setting that you're going to be singing in the concert. For instance, if you have a microphone stand, practice only with the microphone on the stand. But if you rather want to hold it, or if there's no microphone stand, then practice with this thing, because this can really affect your posture. Depending on how long you sing, and if you cannot deposit on the microphone stand, sometimes the situation just is that we don't have a microphone stand, we have to hold this thing. And those things are quite heavy, and they can affect on how we have, for instance, our hips. As a matter of fact, try that right now. I don't know if you have a microphone on hand, otherwise pause it quickly and grab your mic and then take it and then just move your arm and see how that affects the rest of your body. Even if you stay in that singer position, it just affects. So that's why it's important that you practice in the same setting of your concert, of your performance. If you sing a piece for a competition, if you have an audition, also there, ask ahead, am I going to have a clip on? Am I going to sing with microphone? And there also it's important to ask, am I going to sing with playback, live pianist, or a cappella? A cappella is the most difficult kind of singing because you have no accompaniment, you have no orchestra or accompaniment that helps you get your pitch. So microphone singing is important. So the first mistake, too close, so keep it about 1 hand width apart. The other thing is that I see very often singers do is that they sing all over the place. I'm going to say all over the place because their sound is ba ba ba. They're all over the place. And there is this really cool vocalist that makes you sing centered, makes you actually sing in the middle of this thing. Now, of course, you're not going to sing in the middle of this thing like that when you audition, when you perform, but it trains your sound to be more focused, more concentrated.